Tonight, moving mountains of mussels.
Zebra mussels hit us with vengeance within the last 10 years.
How an army of volunteers on the shores of Lake Winnipeg are trying to keep an army of invasive zebra mussels at bay. Also tonight, family planning made easier.
Women deserve accessible, convenient, no-cost care when it comes to their reproductive health.
What contraceptive services Manitobans can now access through their local pharmacy. Plus, combustible catch, where in Manitoba a fisherman angled a hand grenade and how authorities say it ended up at the bottom of a river.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. As many Manitobans head out to the lake for some weekend summer fun, an invasive species is slowly but steadily infecting our waterways. Zebra mussels are now in Lake Winnipeg and more recently in Lake of the Prairies. And once the invasive species arrives, it quickly multiplies. But that doesn't mean a shoreline is lost forever. To explain, CTV's John Hendricks joins us live. John, you visited a community which is actually having some success fighting back.
Yeah, that's right, Marilee. For the past 2 years, a huge community effort has been underway in Hillside Beach to get rid of the invasive species. Hillside Beach may look fairly deserted, but with every wave that hits the shore, a huge invading army arrives. An army of zebra mussels.
There's millions and millions of them. After this northwest wind goes down, there'll be piles along the beach. I've seen this beach was 6 to 8 inches high all the way down the beach.
This shoreline is being constantly swamped by unrelenting waves of the aquatic invasive species. But today, the beach is virtually free of zebra mussels, and they didn't simply wash back into the water. They've been moved here to what is quickly becoming a zebra mussel mountain.
It was important to us as a community to figure out a way to bring back the beauty at Hillside Beach.
So last summer, the Hillside Beach Community Association organized an army of volunteers. And with rakes, shovels, and pails, more than 100 people helped clear the zebra mussels away. The group also partnered with the province to first rent equipment and then purchase this tractor with a beach cleaner.
The great thing about the shells once they're back here in the meadow is they no longer smell. They're not sharp anymore, and they don't smell. So it's been quite an accomplishment.
An accomplishment achieved thanks to a lot of work and sacrifice. Time other communities with zebra-free waterways won't need to devote if boaters are willing to make a much smaller sacrifice of time by cleaning, draining, drying, as well as pulling the drain plugs from their boats.
We've got over 90% compliance from the public, from the boating public. So when I hear people say, well, you know, it's all inevitable, it won't work, the statistics say otherwise.
The battle to keep Hillside Beach clear of zebra mussels is never ending, but residents say it's a place worth fighting for. Now, in areas where the province is visiting less, Jeff Long says the compliance rates are lower. 137 vehicles failed a roadside inspection blitz along the Manitoba-Ontario border back in July. 15 needed to be decontaminated.
So, John, is Hillside Beach the only place having success getting rid of these zebra mussels?
No, Marilee. The province has also partnered with other communities, some near the Paw and Cranberry Portage area, and they're also working with Norway House First Nation, and they're having similar success.
Oh, that sounds great. All right, thanks for this, John. It's now easier to get free birth control in Manitoba.
So we want women and those who need this care to have the access in their communities.
Health Minister Yusoma Asagara announced today pharmacists can assess, prescribe, and administer eligible contraceptives. Pharmacists must complete approved training before they can provide contraceptive assessments and prescribe birth control. Eligible prescription contraceptives include oral pills, hormonal patches, vaginal rings, and intramuscular injections. Pharmacists Manitoba has been advocating for this change, saying pharmacists already have the skills and training needed to provide the care.
The pharmacist often forms relationships with their patients, seeing them and their family for their medication needs many times a year. Pharmacists are a trusted source of reliable information and high-quality care. To now be able to help women with their reproductive health needs is an honor and a true win for Manitobans.
As of this morning, more than 200 pharmacists have been authorized to provide this care. Eligible Manitobans with a valid health card can receive up to 3 contraceptive assessments from a pharmacist and up to 4 contraceptive injections each year at no cost. Manitobans are encouraged to contact their pharmacy to make sure the service is being provided. Well, if you were hoping to get your hands on one of the city's free Radon test kits, you might be waiting a while. Those kits are available to check out from city libraries, just like a book, for up to 3 weeks between November 1st and April 30th. A city spokesperson says the wait list is still in excess of 2,500 households, and those will be carried over and honored in the same order they were received once the program begins again this fall. During the last window, they say a little more than 1,000 kits were borrowed. There are 191 kits in total, and the city says so far there are no plans to add any more. We are closing in on the end of Folklorama Week 1, but there is still plenty of time to explore the first round of pavilions, and that includes the First Nations Pavilion, which is where we find CTV's Taylor Brock tonight. Taylor, how are things going over there?
Well, I just watched the show, which was beautiful, Marilee, and I was actually not even surprised to know that it's a full day today of shows going on because it's busy in here, it's beautiful. But part of the pavilion is, of course, learning some of the cultural teachings, which is why Wally is here with me. Wally, can you tell me a little bit more about smudging? For folks at home, what is it?
Bonjour, my spirit name is Soaring Eagle. I belong to the Loon Clan. But I just wanted to share one of the most common medicines we use is sage, which is right here. And one of the teachings I share with people, and that is a woman's medicine, belongs to women, represents 3 things. Wisdom, because it's the women who carry that wisdom for us as a nation. Strength, because it's the women who are strong for us as a nation. It's up to us men to support the women. And vision, because it's the women who have that vision for us as a nation. So one of the things I also share when I use this medicine is when we smudge, it's us acknowledging we're all a little like Velcro, meaning yesterday, last week, we had all these different interactions with others, but maybe somebody said or did something that rubbed us the wrong way. And when we smudge, this is just our way of acknowledging, you know what, that was yesterday. Why bring that into this space, right? So that's one of the ways we use this medicine.
Can you show us how you smudge? Like, teach me, pretend I know nothing.
Yeah. Well, let's imagine this was lit, right? And there's no, I always tell people there's no right or wrong way, right?
Oh, that's
so
good.
sometimes some of us will smudge our eyes.
Yes, yeah,
so
I do that first. Well, first I wash my hands.
Yeah, so we might see the world in a different way. Sometimes we'll smudge our ears so we hear things in a good way. Sometimes our mouth so that those words come out in a good way. Okay. Sometimes our spirit, sometimes our whole body. Right? But I always tell people there's no really right or wrong way.
No.
It's just acknowledging that, I'm releasing whatever negative energy that might be around me, and I want to invite back that positiveness.
And what happens if it doesn't smell so good to someone? What do you tell them?
That's a good question.
My family's joke was, it's the devil coming out of you.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's a lot of misinterpretations, right?
Exactly.
Especially when it comes to indigenous practices and culture.
And that's why they're closed practices.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's important that we take time to, one, teach, right? But also take time to learn some of those teachings. And that's a big part of our cultural display area, is just creating an opportunity for all the relatives that come through to learn a little bit about the medicine.
And this is just a tiny, tiny piece of smudging. I'm sure you could spend a lifetime just learning about all the different medicines, Marilee, but that is why the First Nations Pavilion exists, to give people at least their first potential experience of what this is, as well as all the many different aspects to culture, including dance, which is what is still coming up in the 6 o'clock show.
Thanks, Taylor. Colleen Brady is in now for a first look at your weekend Skywatch forecast. How's the weekend shaping up, Colleen?
Well, like I was saying earlier, it's like the Goldilocks forecast. It's not too cool, not too warm. We had all that heat and humidity for weeks and weeks. Now temperatures not quite as high, humidity not quite as high, at least not for the next few days, and certainly not this weekend. It will be nice. And speaking of which, we're getting off to a nice start. Sunshine across the south. To the east, though, We had a few showers that came through places like Lac de Bonnie. In Ontario, though, that's where we're seeing those scattered showers go through now. We did have some lightning. There it is. Red Lake, we've got Dryden and Sioux Lookout. Little bit of intermittent shower activity there. I'll show you when we could see showers next here in Winnipeg. Other parts of the province will more certainly see showers, and for quite some time yet to come. I'll explain why, and a look ahead into next week as well. All that's to come. But for now, let's take a look through the CTV Live Eye. It is brought to you by Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. Nice shot there in Winnipeg right now. It's mostly sunny and 23 degrees. With the Humidex, it feels like 24. Okay, winds out of the northwest at 21 kilometers an hour, gusting to 35. The pressure's dropping and the humidity right now, Marilee, is 47%.
Thanks, Colleen. Well, if you're heading to the beach this weekend, there is a few that have higher rates of E. coli you should be aware of. According to the latest beach report, E. coli counts in Lake Winnipeg were briefly above the recreational water quality level earlier this week at the Hanasaw, Gimli, Milne, and Winnipeg beaches. The province says the bacteria levels have since returned to normal. Lake Winnipeg's Sunset Beach and St. Malo Beach also saw some elevated E. coli counts between Tuesday and Thursday. The province has posted signs at these beaches advising visitors to avoid swallowing water or swimming with an open cut or wound. You should also wash your hands before handling your food after swimming. Water testing will continue at those beaches next week. Heads up for those living in Thompson. You are going to be under a boil water advisory for part of the weekend. This is because of a main valve that needs to be replaced on Oak Street. The city says the boil water advisory will begin when crews start working at 7:30 Saturday night. They're going to work overnight to replace that valve, and water pressure should return to normal when they're done. However, the city says the boil water advisory will not be lifted until water quality tests are complete. A fisherman in Selkirk has quite the tale to tell after hooking an unusual catch. Check this out. Around 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, RCMP say the man was fishing on the waterfront when he caught a grenade. The Manitoba RCMP Explosives Disposal Unit contacted the Canadian Armed Forces, who analyzed the item, and they determined it was a training grenade from the 1950s. No safety pin was attached, and it was deemed safe to move for disposal. RCMP are reminding the public not to touch, move, or disturb any object that appears to be an explosive device. WestJet passengers are still dealing with the fallout of the one-day flight attendant strike, and one Winnipeg family says it's cost them thousands.
It only lasted, the strike only lasted 10 hours, but complete chaos right at the airport.
Lori Regalka and her family planned a trip to Paris flying with WestJet last weekend. When they landed in Calgary to catch their connecting flight, they were told it had been preemptively canceled due to the strike. Regalka says WestJet initially offered the group of 8 just $250, leaving them stranded in Calgary with no accommodations and little communication.
In fact, the agent kept saying to us in the beginning when we first went up and said, well, what can we do? And she said, well, you should be grateful that we're giving you $250 for 8 of you. And she said, we don't have to do anything. And we were just in shock by her words.
Regalka says WestJet has since offered to refund her family $5,000, but she says they're out more than $10,000 as most of their hotels and tours in Europe couldn't be refunded. They're making a claim with WestJet for the remaining expenses and considering taking the airline to court over the matter. CTV News has reached out to WestJet. We are still waiting for a response. We're learning more about the scope and impact of last month's 911 outage. A total of 84 callers were unable to call 911 during the outage on July 22nd, which lasted 3 hours and 45 minutes. This is according to a new report to the CRTC from Bell, Manitoba's 911 provider and CTV's parent company. Bell says the outage was caused by, in part, a third party who cut a fiber cable in Winnipeg. This led to a complete loss of 911 calls to the call center in Brandon, which handles all emergency calls outside Winnipeg. However, according to the report, to date, no critical incidents or adverse public safety outcomes have been reported as a result. Bell says it's in the process of switching over to a next-generation 911 network by the end of the year, saying these types of outages won't happen with the new system. Until then, it's added 2 additional routes for 911 calls in case the 2 existing routes are to fail again. He performed with the likes of Alice Cooper, Streetheart, and Gene Simmons. And now an internationally acclaimed drummer's career is coming full circle with a special honor from the city of Winnipeg.
I'm just a kid from the neighborhood.
The block where Brent Fitz grew up in Crestview and where his parents lived until 2020 will now bear his name. Bella Vista Crescent between Voyageur Avenue and Rogan Drive is being given the name of Brent Fitz Way. The connection Fitz continues to have with the city and the street led to the honorary street renaming.
I think I was on tour with Theory of a Dead Man, and my mom was like, if you need to do laundry, come on by. So we brought the tour bus down here. I think we banged the street sign, and the tour bus came down here. It was wintertime, and I got stuck, and it was a whole nightmare, but I'll never forget my mom was like, pretty cool.
It sure is. Fans have the chance to see Fitz and his band Took when they perform at the Burt Block Party Saturday, August 15th. Winnipeg drivers are being warned to expect some traffic disruptions on a pair of major routes this weekend. The city says rail crossing maintenance work will close Kenaston Boulevard in both directions between Lindenwood Drive East and Rothwell Road. And Lagimodiere Boulevard will close to southbound traffic from Dugald Road to Marion Street. Both closures begin tonight at 6 and end at 6 Monday morning. Meantime, you're going to need to find a different route next week if your commute takes you across the Louise Bridge. The city says that bridge is being closed for 1 week beginning Monday at 6 a.m. and not reopening until the same time the following Monday. This is to allow for resurfacing work to be done. The west sidewalk will remain open for pedestrians and cyclists. Still to come tonight, new details in the Canada-U.S. trade talks.
Canada is going in a position of strength.
What concessions Canada is willing to make in order to stave off further U.S. tariffs, and what a deal could mean for the country's steel, alcohol, and dairy sectors. Tonight, crude oil added 89 cents. The loonie closed the week at 71.72 cents U.S. Gold futures jumped $100. The TSX was up 244 points. The Dow Jones gained 151 points, while the Nasdaq climbed 342 points higher. Manitoba's unemployment rate remains the lowest in Canada. The jobless rate fell to 5% in July, down 0.4 of a point from the month before. Winnipeg also saw a drop of 0.2 of a point to 5.7%. Canada added 75,000 jobs in July as the national unemployment rate fell for a third straight month to 6.4%. That's the lowest level it's been in 2 years. The unemployment rate among young people remained relatively unchanged at 12.6%, but Statistics Canada says the summer job market was better than last year. Thousands of Canadians can now apply for compensation after a Canada Revenue Agency data breach. According to a class action lawsuit settled in May, the confidential information of tens of thousands of Canadians was accessed by a third party from March 1st, 2020 until the end of that year. Ottawa agreed to pay out almost $9 million in compensation. Some Canadians are eligible for between $80 and $5,000. You can check your eligibility and submit a claim through a special KPMG website. We're getting a better sense of what could be included in a potential trade deal with the United States. CTV News has confirmed specific details of the negotiations to stave off new tariffs that could take effect in 11 days. CTV's Judy Trin now on those crucial talks and what they could entail.
After 90 minutes of intense trade talks in Washington between top Canadian and American officials, some details are emerging about what cards Canada is willing to play.
This is about concessions, if there's to be concessions on both sides. It can't be a one-way street, which is what the American position has been up until now.
Industry sources tell CTV News that Canada is willing to drop counter tariffs on autos and convince the provinces to put American alcohol back on shelves if the U.S. agrees to reduce steep tariffs on key sectors such as forestry, autos, steel, and aluminum.
Well, I think we all heard Doug Ford a few weeks ago in D.C. in a scrum say, look, I understand the impact and the power of this booze ban, and I will reverse it if we get peace on the CUSMA and the full trade war.
After meeting with the U.S. trade representative, Minister Dominic LeBlanc says the focus is on striking a comprehensive deal that addresses all the sectoral tariffs.
Je crois en la gestion de l'offre, c'est important.
While the Prime Minister continues to defend supply management, negotiators have discussed changing how dairy quotas are managed.
Canada's nasty.
If that's not enough to prevent the Trump administration from bringing in new 50% tariffs that will hit $28 billion of Canadian goods like hockey equipment, sources say the federal government is working on retaliatory measures, such as blocking the U.S. from getting preferential access to critical minerals, energy, and big procurement projects.
Canada is going in a position of strength. We were able to start restructuring our economy to make start building a new Canada over the past year. We see the numbers coming out. It's working.
Other than negotiating with the Americans, the provinces will also have to be convinced to come on side. We're just hearing from Quebec's premier that province won't put U.S. booze back on the shelves unless they get a deal that's fair to Quebec. Judy Turin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Over in Ontario, more than 150 wildfires are still burning across that province's north. That's according to the latest update from the Ministry of Natural Resources. 4 new blazes were confirmed in the Northwest region Thursday for a total of 113 burning, 17 out of control. It was a bit better news in the Northeast, where no new fires were confirmed yesterday. Still, 42 are still actively burning there, with 1 considered out of control. And some good news tonight for thousands of people who've been chased out of their homes by wildfires in BC. Crews battling the blaze, which destroyed more than 200 properties, are making some progress. And experts point to an unlikely ally, the smoke that's overwhelming nearby communities. CTV's Andrew Johnson explains.
Summers on Kootenay Lake are supposed to look like this. Today, this paradise is being choked out by wildfire smoke, and so is Calgarian Jed Kaplan's vacation.
Smells like a campfire. Right now, it's just hard to see. The sun is kind of dim.
The smoke from more than 100 fires in BC and others in Washington state has raised the health risk to the highest level in the southeastern part of the province, with children and the elderly advised to avoid much activity outside.
It's definitely affected my hiking, so I'm just doing a short walk today, and yeah, not great.
Kaplan is also a climate scientist and says even though Canadians are now being exposed to summer wildfire smoke more often, there is a lack of research on how much damage is being done.
We don't really have a very clear idea of what long-term exposure to wildfire smoke is going to do for a lot of the population.
In the short term, the smoke presents one upside. It's helping to calm down fire behavior in the Bradley Creek complex of fires that have destroyed more than 200 homes near Vernon, where thousands of people remain evacuated.
The smoke coverage is, really reducing the ability for these fires to pick up any steam and really start going.
The Wildfire Service says lightning is also less of a concern than expected going into the weekend, and conversations are underway on when some of the people stuck in limbo could return to their homes.
We are assessing areas where, from a wildfire perspective, it may be safe to allow residents back into the area and downgrade orders to alerts and potentially rescind alerts altogether.
That conversation also includes making sure communities are safe. That can involve clearing debris, restoring power, and access to clean water before giving the all clear. The Wildfire Service knows it's a big ask, but people will need to continue to be patient. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
A traffic stop near Brandon led police to a stash of nearly $1 million. Take a look at this pile of cash Mounties found in the back of a vehicle they caught speeding late last week on the Trans-Canada Highway. The vehicle, we're told, was driving about 30 kilometers over the speed limit. Police stopped it as it reached Brandon, leading to the search. In total, $970,000 was seized. The driver and passenger of the car, both from Ontario, are now facing charges of possession of property obtained by crime for the purpose of trafficking. The Winnipeg Goldeyes are on a roll. The Goldeyes swept the series against the Chicago Dogs last night with a 7-5 win at Blue Cross Park, marking the team's 12th consecutive win. And with that, the Fish have now broken the franchise winning streak record. The win puts the Goldeyes just a game and a half out of first place in the league. The team will try and keep the streak alive as it heads out on the road for a 3-day weekend series against the Salt Dogs in Lincoln, Nebraska.
I'm here at the First Nations Pavilion helping serve up some tacos. Not doing the greatest job of it. Speaking of not doing the greatest job of things, I'm going to try to dance shortly just after the break. Hopefully my dancing is better than my serving skills. However, I don't think the gentleman waiting for this one is complaining with the amount of lettuce.
Oh, that's very good. Thank you.
There we go. I'll try to dance again after the break.
Nice weekend ahead. Sunday, second half of it will be sunny, 24 degrees. Now, once we get to Sunday night, the forecast models, well, they're all over the place for the possibility of rain into Monday. So it is possible we could see rain show up in the city Sunday night and on Monday. Monday otherwise will be 23 degrees. Mix of sun and cloud Tuesday with the risk of a thunderstorm, 25 there. Wednesday, Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud with a pair of highs right around 23.
You still have tonight and tomorrow to take part in the first round of Folklorama Pavilions. CTV's Taylor Brock is our tour guide again tonight. She is at the First Nations Pavilion at RBC Convention Center. Taylor, how are things looking over there?
Those were tacos that smelled really good, and I made them family style, let's just say merrily. Hopefully my dancing's a little better than my presentation skills, and I am here with Sequoia, who is a fancy dancer. Can you tell me a little bit more about your whole regalia and the dance and how the two work together?
Okay, so in our culture we have this thing called the Vision Quest, and that's where a young boy goes into the wilderness for 4 days and 4 nights without food or water. So this young boy, it was time for his vision quest. And so he went off into the woods and he went into the prairie and he looked into that tall grass and he seen these horses and they were spinning and they were kicking and they were sprinting back and forth.
Oh, so that's what you're trying to emulate. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to be as graceful as you were earlier in the show, but can you show me or try to show me a couple of dance moves?
Absolutely.
Okay, what are we starting?
So first we'll do the front step. Okay. There's 2 different variants, but today we're going to do the male style of front step. You're going to go toe, ball, and then heel. Toe, ball.
Oh, I keep missing.
The ball of your foot is right here. So these are your toes, and then your ball's right there. So you're gonna go toe, ball, and then heel. And then you're gonna switch toe, ball, heel. And you're gonna speed it up. You're basically just tapping the ground real quick. And that's what we would call the men's style front step.
It feels like I'm just kind of rocking on my feet.
Kinda, yeah. And then once you get into it more, you'll get faster and faster.
Okay. What's something else that I might do if I theoretically can do this?
Okay. I think you could do the side pendulum. Let's do that. So you're gonna lift your one leg up and bring it out, and then you're just gonna go back and forth, rocking back and forth. Just like that.
And all of the extra feathers and regalia just help show that off a little
Oh yeah,
more.
the style's very showy, so you gotta be a little flashy with your movements.
Speaking of flashy, can you show us what it's supposed to look like?
Yeah, I can show you a couple moves, so.
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Show off. This is your time to shine. Very nice. I like it. I'm guessing it takes a lot of energy and a lot of practice. Merrily, I'm not going to get this in one night, I think, but I think I'm going to get the hang of it. Maybe I'll show it back to you at the studio later.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
All right, Colleen Brady is back now with your weekend Skywatch forecast, and shaping up to be not too bad at all.
Quite a nice weekend as we push further into August. Summer is flying. The weekend off to a nice start here in the south for the most part. Still sunny. Winds coming out of the west-northwest. To the east, we had those scattered showers that moved through Lac du Bonny late this afternoon. You can see right now still a bit of lightning firing off over parts of Ontario, though close to Red Lake. Although right now the weather stations in Red Lake, Dryden and Sioux Lookout are reporting drier conditions for the time time being, but you see there's likely a bit more coming in behind in terms of rain. Speaking of which, the rain is falling in Thompson right now, cloudy across the north, and a lot of other parts of northern Manitoba will likely see some scattered showers, not just tonight, but over the next couple of days, really throughout the weekend. Not just the north. This is going to extend down into central regions and into parts of northwestern Ontario. The reason being, there is a low pressure complex that's just sort of parked over western Hudson Bay right now, and you can see it's just throwing off those showers scattered across the north tonight. There's a risk of thunderstorms. It is a risk. It's not a certainty, but just be aware of that. We get into the latter part of the evening. That risk diminishes. The chance of showers, though, not so much, particularly if you're in areas a little further to the north. Central areas should see those showers come to an end at least overnight, but then they come right back as we get into Saturday. And then down here in the south, we'll be clear tonight. We'll see lots of sunshine in the morning on Saturday, but once we get into the afternoon, as places say like Gimli clear out and the sun shines there, a little further south here in Winnipeg, we'll get a little cloudier, but we should be dry. Overnight, Saturday night, most of the province still clear, but really that area right along the coastline closest to that low pressure system, that's where those showers are going to continue. You can see right even into the latter part of Sunday afternoon and into Sunday evening. Tonight, no rain in sight for us here in Winnipeg. Mostly clear, down to 13 degrees. Winds at their strongest out of the west at 20 kilometers an hour. Even lighter west winds Saturday morning, mostly sunny, 15 degrees. And then as we get into the afternoon, we'll see more and more cloud build up on the way to a high of 23. Winds pick up a bit too late afternoon out of the west at 30 kilometers an hour. Around the province tonight, up into the northeast, showers likely with some winds picking up to around Churchill down to 10 degrees. Cloudy through Gillam Island Lake. Again, there's a risk of thunderstorms in those communities tonight. The rain is falling now in Thompson, down to 9 there, and then more showers for that city tomorrow, 17 degrees. And you can see back across the rest of the northeast, a good chance of showers, not a certainty, but a good chance, at least intermittently. Same thing for the northwest, particularly Lynn Lake, Flin Flon, and Norway House tonight. Overnight lows 10, 11 degrees around the region. Chance of showers for places like Flin Flon and the Paw tomorrow up to 19 degrees. A better bet of showers in Norway House and Norway House Cree Nation. In the southwest tonight, just a few clouds over much of the area. Brandon down to 9 again, 11 overnight for Dauphin. Sunny in Dauphin tomorrow, 23 degrees. Swan River 21. Neepawa and Brandon. It will be a primarily sunny day with highs in the low 20s. Winnipeg in the southeast, just a few clouds, really fairly clear overnight. Lows between 11 and 13 for most of us. We'll get cloudier here in the afternoon in Winnipeg and Steinbach. Brighter to the north around Gimli there. Temperatures in the low 20s. And in northwestern Ontario, varying amounts of cloud with those showers going through now. Overnight lows 11, 12 degrees. Daytime highs for Saturday in the low 20s with a chance of showers around the region as well. Let's take a look at our first weather photo. This is a family of sandhill cranes out for a stroll near Steinbach. That photo is from Kevin. Now, Marilee, we were talking about this in our 5 o'clock show. Look closely. You have to count the ducks. There are ducks on that log.
4?
5? The answer is 5.
One was sneaking there. I see it now.
Sneaking through the branches, yes. I think we passed the test, Jim. He took that great photo out in Kildonan Park. You can email us your photos to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Well, speaking of ducks, improvements are on the way for St. Vital Duck Pond. You don't have to count these ones, but as you can see, the pond's looking a little green these days, due in part to how shallow it is. Next year, the city says it will be dredged and some areas naturalized to help prevent geese from flocking there. The park is also getting some new paving, including better pathways throughout the area. The total cost of the revitalization is pegged at just shy of $3.4 million on top of $1.2 million for roads. Meta has been ordered to pay a record fine for failing to warn users about the dangers of its platforms and what they pose for children. Up next, I'm going to chat with one of the leading voices in responsible social media use for children in Canada. A judge in New Mexico has ordered Facebook and Instagram parent company Meta to pay more than $500 million into a teen mental health fund. The $567 million U.S. decision follows a landmark civil trial by the state of New Mexico. Meta lost in March. Now, Meta is accused of intentionally including features in its platforms which feed social media addiction and for failing to prevent child sexual exploitation on its sites. Meta says it will appeal this decision. With reaction to this news, Jenny Perez, the founder of Unplugged Canada, a parent-led group advocating for responsible social media use for children, joins me now. Jenny, good to speak with you.
And how are you?
I'm good. I'm curious from your perspective what this massive ruling means for the tech industry.
Well, it's massive because the fact that the judge went beyond with such a fine, such a ruling sets. It's actually fueling other lawsuits and giving more material to lawsuits in other states and also lawsuits in other countries. So I think this is a big achievement for society because the message is clear that these platforms, these devices are harmful and that more action is required not only in courts but also by policymakers.
Yeah, while this ruling did take place in a U.S. state court, social media algorithms do not respect borders. What kind of ripple effects do you expect to see here in Canada?
Well, the product is the same here in Canada, right? Actually, we are aware that the U.S. Introduces new products and experiments with actually our children, and which was very sad to learn some time ago, and that's part of the motivation to continue advocating for the necessary legislation in Canada. So we already have a bill table, the Bill C-34, and this bill has two key elements: the safety by design, which basically addresses all these features, or at least to a great extent addresses the concerning addictive features or harmful features of these platforms. However, also has the very important element of the social media age of 16. So by having both, we are having as many safeguards as possible to protect our children, our youth, because it's important to understand that the social media age is critical to change the norm, because we know that it takes years for platforms for design to be addressed. So there's going to be a back and forth, and that's where the social media age is necessary.
Do you think financial penalties like this one are actually enough to force big tech to change?
Well, the amount, they made about $60 billion, I think, last year in profit, so I don't think it's huge for them. Now, there are going to be a lot of lawsuits, and the fact that they are willing to appeal these decisions, and they are already doing it right away, we know that they drag their feet, and this can take years to, fight. So this is huge. This sends a clear message. But we need more than that, right? And obviously what happens in the U.S. doesn't affect Canada in the sense that not because we are, there are victims in Canada, they don't benefit from what is going on in the U.S. It sets precedent, it sends a message, it gives resources to fight also in courts here, maybe later. I'm not an expert on that aspect, but what we need and what the judge also in the U.S. said is there is as much as a court can do, the court cannot ask Meta to change industry-wide designs. Like that needs to be done by legislation. And we have in front of us the Bill C-34, very well put together, has this safety by design critical element and the social media age. I think we just need to work together to make this bill pass so we can have something solid sooner than later here in Canada.
Maybe the start of some eventual change. Jenny, thanks so much for your time and your insight into this tonight. It was great speaking with you.
Likewise, thank you for having me.
Cyclospora and now Salmonella are being tied to tainted produce. This as foodborne outbreaks spread in the U.S. Salmonella outbreaks tied to eggs, chickens, and jalapenos have sickened hundreds nationwide. The CDC is now tracking 345 cases of Salmonella linked to jalapenos, including 36 hospitalizations across 27 states. State health officials found more than 100 people sick with Salmonella in Minnesota. The majority of them became sick after eating food from Mexican-style restaurant chain Chipotle between mid-June and July.
it can spread into the bloodstream, into joints, into prosthetics in the body, and sometimes it can cause kidney failure. And so it makes sense that they're going to be very aggressive here.
The CDC is tying cases to jalapenos grown in Sinaloa, Mexico, and distributed by Coast Citrus distributors. Now, both Chipotle and its rival Cadobo say they have stopped serving jalapenos. A new study suggests heat waves may contribute to speeding up biological aging, adding to the growing concerns about climate change's impacts. The study indicates exposure to periods of extremely hot weather was significantly associated with a deterioration of body functions or longer-term physiological damage in middle-aged and older adults. The research from China involved more than 2,300 middle-aged and older adults who were at least 45 years old. It found an increase of 5 years in the biological age of participants over a 4-year period. Experts define biological age as the health and function of cells, body systems, and organs, while chronological aging is the number of years an individual has been alive.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic. Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting the Northern Pikes and Barney Bentall.
A full weekend of family fun is taking over Winkler this weekend, and there's several free concerts you will not want to miss. Like this one, 80s icon Tiffany is headlining Saturday over at the Winkler Harvest Festival. Sunday sees Tim and the Glory Boys taking over the main stage, while Jackson Dean gets things started this evening. Throughout the day, you'll find everything from a midway, vendors, a petting zoo, strongman competition, and much more. Best of all, the programming is free of charge.
I understand how so many families are struggling with being able to afford these things. And so this is a great opportunity for families to come out, bring a picnic if you want. If you don't have the money for food trucks or anything like that, just bring a picnic, enjoy the shows, enjoy the kids zone. There's so many bouncy castles and trains and so on for your kids to enjoy. Just come out, enjoy, and be a part of the community.
The Winkler Harvest Festival kicked off today and runs through Sunday. Well, here's a look at just some of the many other events taking place in Manitoba this weekend. The Winnipeg Tattoo Convention is on at Red River Exhibition Park. St. Pierre Joly will be jumping with its annual Frog Follies and Egg Fair. Banana Days is on in Melita. There are also fairs in Kelwood and Gladstone. Enjoy a day of music and more at Music on Manitoba in Selkirk. The Living Prairie Museum hosts its Monarch Butterfly Festival. The Take Root Fest is on near Lac de Bonnie. Dalnevert Museum celebrates the 131st anniversary of the Victorian House. You can find a full list of events this weekend by heading to our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. Well, lace up your dirndl and strap on your lederhosen, because Folklorama's German Pavilion wants to make you part of the family. This year's theme centers around Berlin, bringing the capital's creative spirit to life through a blend of traditional German performances and the more modern scene like German techno. You'll even get to see the actual pieces of the Berlin Wall, or some of them anyway. Now, new this year too, the food lineup, the Berliner, a traditional jam-filled donut. Expect to also pick up a few German customs while you're there.
When we do Nine Prosit, everybody stands up. I literally jump into the crowd, and then we do that. We've also got the Fliegerlied at the end, where the audience again is part of the show. We're literally, the whole fest hall is dancing together.
The German Pavilion continues tonight and tomorrow to round out week 1 of Folklorama, and keep those dancing shoes handy. The German Pavilion is hosting a late night dance party, which runs from 11 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. All right, your primetime lineup starts at 7 with Spring Break Murders. Crime Scene Investigators is on at 8. And next at 9, it's The Rebuild inside the Montreal Canadiens. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
All right, 24 degrees, our highest temperature. But look at this, 1949, 40.6 degrees. Wow. Yeah, that was a bit warm. So tonight we drop down to 13, mainly clear. We'll get some sun Saturday morning, cloudier in the afternoon, 23, sunnier Sunday, 24. Now, I mentioned this earlier. There's the possibility, it's definitely not a sure shot, Sunday night or Monday, of rain, 23 Monday. The risk of thunderstorm Tuesday, 25, 23 degrees for the midweek.
I'm still speechless about 40.6 degrees.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
Yikes. All right. Week one of Winnipeg's largest ethnocultural celebration is coming to a close, but don't worry, you still have time tonight and tomorrow to see the first round of pavilions before week two takes over Sunday. For now, we're going to leave you with more of the sights and sounds from the week that was. And don't forget to join us next week when our tour of the world continues at Folklorama. Have a great weekend.